All right, so in this video, we're gonna put together our holly and tree ornament gift box. Now, if you are not planning on giving ornaments this year as gifts, I know a lot of you make your own ornaments. This can just be a regular gift box as well. You just leave out this little piece here. And this is a little piece that we've created that you put inside the box that allows your ornament to sit upright. So it's a handy little piece. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little bit of pre-prep here, and we're gonna take and put our panels onto the actual design. As usual, I like to work with things while they're flat. Okay, so this little piece here is gonna go right on top of this piece here. And I've already taken and folded these just to prepare them. You want to fold everything at the score marks here. There's one little section that, oh, I guess I did fold it. So we're going to take this piece, and as you can see here, it only goes on one way. So make sure that you get it lined up correctly. And we'll flip it over and get our glue down onto this piece. I want to work the perimeter and then throw just a few little dots on the interior here so it doesn't peel away from the inside. You want it to be on there nicely, and then also just make sure that you're getting enough glue out to the outside, right up to the edge, so that it sticks nicely for us. And just do your best to line that up. If you get a little bit of the color from underneath poking through, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure that you have a nice even border going all the way around, and just push and hold that down into place. Now this piece has a little bit of acetate on the back so that there's like a cute little window there. So we can actually flip that over, grab our little piece of acetate. So if you don't have acetate, you can get some clear folders from the office supply store. That would work. Or even if you buy cardstock, sometimes they come in those little clear sheets, clear little packaging. You can use that, or you can even use the top of an old cutting mat, the clear part. Any of those would work. I'm sure you have some of those hanging out. Okay. All right, so we'll get that right on there. And then we got a nice little window there. Okay, so on the front and back of this design, we're using our little holly pattern, and on the sides, we're going to be using a checkered pattern. So let me go ahead and put the side on this. Okay, this is perfectly square, so it doesn't really matter which direction you lay this down on, unless you have a very specific pattern. Like sometimes the graphic 45 papers have really cool designs on them, and you want to showcase those, and you don't want them to be upside down. So be conscious of that as you're laying your piece down here. Okay, just make sure that you get it nice and centered. I'm using the border from the previous piece to help with the alignment on this. So I was kind of looking at how much border I have here, and that sort of helped me with the placement of this one. Okay, I'm just going to push that down, get that in place. Then we also have this little piece here. Okay, that's going to span the entire part of this flap here. So there's no border there. I'm going to go ahead and get your glue on this piece here. Okay, so just make sure that as you're laying this down, you're not covering up the little notch there. This is kind of like a gable box, sort of, kind of, in the way that it closes. So get that into place. And just push that down, make sure that you get enough glue on the entire thing here. Okay, and last but not least, now the way that this thing is going to close is it's going to close like this. Okay, so this piece is going to go right here, and as you can see, it matches up and leaves a little bit of a border there. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this part down first. So just the bottom portion of this is going down first. We'll make sure that that sticks, and then we'll peel it back and then glue the rest of it on there. Okay, so just butt that up, maybe bring this up, and then use the little corner there to help guide the placement on this. And as you're doing that, maybe just kind of bend it back and forth a little bit just to make sure that it stays nicely. Okay, you don't want to put this on without it being folded at all, because then when you go to fold it, it may try to peel apart. And now I'm actually, let me grab just a little scrap piece of paper here. I'm going to throw some glue down on here because my nozzle isn't flowing very well, and I have a little area here where I didn't get enough glue. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint some glue on underneath, wipe off any excess, and just push that down. Give it a little extra TLC here just to make sure that it stays down for us nicely. Okay, so that looks good. Now we can pull this back, and we're going to go ahead and get our glue on the tree portion here, and then we're going to glue that down. Okay. Now this is, I'm not sure what paper this is. I'm not used to working with a white back paper, but it seems to be a little bit thicker, so it's less likely to warp on us. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and put that flat right onto this piece here. Make sure you get your glue out completely, and then don't let it completely dry. Go ahead and fold it a little bit as it's drying. Okay, fold it this way. There we go. Just make sure that that gets a good hold and that it's partially folded so that it's somewhat ready to take on its little shape there. Okay, because it is going to be at this angle here. You may need to push that out a little bit. Okay, so it's going to be like that. Kind of like that. Okay. All right, so one half of this is ready. You can move this over to the side here, and you can go ahead and get the rest of this going here. So again, this is going to be the back. I'm going to use the same pattern here on the back. Okay. And let's get that glued down. This is a very simple box. I bet many of you could figure this out without a video, but I enjoy making them for you. Okay, I'm just kind of brushing that glue out to the edge. Make sure that it sticks nicely for us. And go ahead and get that nice and centered on this section here. Make sure you've got a nice even border going all the way around. And push that down. That looks good. Okay. We'll put our little plaid pattern down. Make sure you get that glue out to the edges there. Okay. And again, just make sure that you've got a nice even border going all the way around. There we go. All right. Next on to this piece here. And again, we're getting repetitive now because you've already done this once, but no problem there. Just get your glue, get it out to the edges. This paper, for some reason, wants to curl when it gets some glue on it. Okay, just make sure you're not obstructing that little notch. That's what's going to hold the box together. So be sure to make sure you don't obstruct that. You can fold it over and kind of run your finger along the edge of this just to ensure that you've got it nice and matched up, and that looks good to me. Okay, which leaves our little tree here. And just like before, we're going to start by doing the bottom part first. Okay, so let's get that in place. Just nice thin lines of glue. This glue is drying really quick today. I don't know if it's the lack of humidity or what, which is kind of good. Okay, go ahead and push that down. Get it out. Make sure you push down towards the edge as well. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to fold this over just to kind of work those fibers in that paper so this thing bends a little bit easier for us. Okay. All right, so last but not least, go ahead and get our tree in place. Get a little bit of glue out to those extremities there on the tree. A tiny little dot here and there on those really fine parts. There we go. All right, line that up. It should pretty much automatically line up because the bottom's already hinged. So I shouldn't have to really do much. Just push down, get that glue into the fibers of the AC cardstock and let that dry. And maybe just kind of bend it a little bit. There we go. Did that a lot better the second time around. Okay, so the base structure of this thing is pretty much put together for us. Now what we're going to do is we're going to line these two pieces up together like so, and we're going to glue them side by side. Okay, so go ahead and get some glue on this tab here, a nice amount on the tab, and then work a little bit out to the edge. I'm spreading that out. There we go. And just pop that right on top of the other piece. And check out the bottom part there. Make sure that you've got this nice and aligned here. Okay, and you want it pretty much butting up against the score marks there. You don't want to go over them too much, if at all actually. It should be right next to it. And then what I'm going to do is fold this over and take a look at these tabs here. They should be flush right on top of each other so that you don't really feel two. You should just feel one. And that is a good indicator that you've got this thing assembled perfectly. Okay, now while it's still flat, I'm going to go ahead and fold this side over and then fold this side over. And we're just going to glue this side to the other side to kind of close up the box here. So get your glue onto this tab here. Work a nice line right out to the edge and spread that out nicely. Okay, and then just go ahead and fold that over and it should meet up perfectly. Okay, just add a little bit of pressure right on that tab there. Okay, you can actually fold it over this way as well and push down. Okay. There we go. All right, so our box is starting to come together, and this is basically how it closes, like that. Okay, really cute. And then we just need to put our bottom on. So you'll take a look here. You've got two square pieces like this. One of them has a tiny little L cut into it. That is your liner. That's going to go inside. Okay, what we want to do is, and this is going to be the front of our box, so let's start by gluing the bottom onto the front. Okay, so go ahead and get your glue onto this large tab here. One line right up to the edge. I'm going to fold this down a little bit so that as I'm spreading this, it doesn't get onto the other surface here. And that works pretty well to keep our glue where we want it. Okay, now that's a lot of glue. You don't want to warp the bottom, even though no one's going to see it. You still want to do your best work. Okay, and then I'm going to take this and just line this up as precisely as possible, like so. Okay, give it a gentle little push there, and then you can flip it down onto your surface and push down. We want to work quickly, efficiently, and cleanly. And this is the best way to do that. The more pressure you can put on these pages or on these pieces of paper, the quicker that glue is going to penetrate the little paper fibers, the quicker it's going to dry, and the less likely you're going to run into mistakes. Speaking of, I've got a little piece that's kind of peeling away there. I've got my glue from earlier, the little hidden, or the little part of my pick-me-up tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and just glue and brush some glue in there into that little crack, and then just push and hold that with my thumb until it really dries to give us a nice clean finish on that. Okay, and that looks a lot better now. So last but not least, we're going to go ahead and get glue on the remaining tabs here. And yeah, we're going to have to do all three at a time, which is fine. It's doable. And if we mess up, we can always go in and do a little touch up should we have to. Okay, and again, working one little line out to the edge. And I'm going to spread that out. Get it out to the edge there so it looks nice and finished. There we go. And then flare these out just a tiny bit. And take your bottom, go ahead and close it up. And if you need to, and you may need to, just kind of nudge the sides so that they're nice and flush with that box bottom. Okay. And it's difficult to add a sustained pressure to all three of these sides at the same time to let that dry. So don't be surprised if there's a little part that maybe just didn't grip correctly. I may need to go in and do a little touch up here and there, and that's totally fine. Now even my front has a little area. And one tip that I showed in the last video was, you know, instead of this tool, sometimes even this tool is too thick. If you just get a strip of paper, you can use that as a little, call it like a butter knife, I guess, because it's small enough. And actually that one's kind of caked with glue from the last time I did this. So I'm going to cut myself a new strip. Kind of like, reminds me of those little pH strips that you used to use in science class. So here's my little strip. Just going to put a little bit of glue on one side. Okay, there's a tiny little bit of glue there. And just going to shove that right in there. And it's not really allowing me to go in too far, probably because there's already glue back there, but not right up at the edge there. So I just added a little bit more, and I'm just holding it down to let that set. And there you've got a nice beautiful seam on the bottom now. And take a look around the rest of the design, the rest of the project here, and where's my nice new strip? There it is. Just get a little bit of glue on there, And just paint it right onto that little tab. Remove any excess. And just push and hold that in place until that sets as well. And we'll have a nice perfect box here in just a second. Okay, so that looks good. Let's go ahead and open this back up real quick. All right, so you can open that up. And now this is your little liner piece. Okay, so what you can do is go ahead and just put a nice little line inside your box, preferably on the tab section. And just pop that right in place. And just push down, and that is going to add a little bit more stability. Now, last but not least, I know I've said that twice already, we have this little insert here. So if you're just giving a gift, you're pretty much done, aside from the bow. I'm gonna do a separate video for the bow, so look for that. I'm gonna jazz this up with some rhinestones in the corner here, so take a look at the final product photo for some more ideas and tips on how to jazz this up a little more. So just some rhinestones in the corners here, and definitely a rhinestone on the star tree, for the tree's star, I should say. I'm speaking like Yoda. All right, so to put this thing together, we're just gonna go ahead and put glue on the first little triangular tab and just connect that to its neighbor. And just squeeze that between your fingers. Give that a chance to dry. Okay, and move on to the next one. Go ahead and put some glue on that little triangular tab and squeeze. And move on to the next one. Two more. And we're not actually going to be gluing this into the box. I think once it's in there, it'll sit nicely for us. And it'll be ready for its own ornament. I think what I would suggest doing is, if you do put an ornament in there, maybe put some little crinkle fill or something around it, just to kind of give it a little bit of an airbag, so to speak, because this will keep it from moving. But if it gets jostled around, it's still going to pop out. So I would maybe do that. You don't have to, but it's probably a good idea. Okay, so this is just going to go right inside. Just push that down, and you've got a nice little nest for your ornaments, and your box is ready to go.
Stay on top of all things Dreaming Tree and engage with us today. Get the latest news and enter in our giveaways on Facebook. Get inspired by following us on Pinterest. Be the first to see our new product launches on Instagram. Do you prefer Twitter? Yep, we're there too. Watch our beautiful product trailers and assembly tutorials on YouTube. For more information, visit www.3dsvg.com. Live, craft, love, and dream.